Good morning, YouTube reseller mom here. Welcome to today's video. Today is the 5th of January. We are on Thursday of the new year, the first Thursday. Very exciting. But today I wanted to go over with you guys some tips for submitting invoices for ungating in Amazon for FBA. Getting ungated in things is really important if you want to expand and source different categories or brands. I do have some links down below of known sources that are good for ungating and Nike and grocery, etc. It's really not that hard, but it does have to be done in a way that Amazon will accept your invoice. So I want to come up and share with you guys the most common things that I find wrong that I help people out when submitting their invoices to get them to go through. So the first thing that is noted, well, these are in no particular order, but first things first, you need to highlight or annotate the invoice. Annotation just means that you are pointing out and you are marking it up so that they can find what they are looking for. And by they, I mean the person who's going to look at that invoice and either approve or deny it. It's got to be really stand out-ish because they are on a time crunch. If they can't figure it out, they're just going to deny and move on. So you've got to make it foolproof here. When you are annotating, there are two schools of thoughts. Either you print it out and you take literally a highlighter and a pen. I like to use blue ink for any annotation and yellow highlighter. And you can print it out and you literally go and highlight, on their information they say that they want to see the date. So you highlight the date. They want to see your name. You're going to highlight your name. They want to see the company's name. They're going to highlight the company's name and address. Anything that they're asking for, you're going to go through and use that as a checklist to highlight. Next, you are going to write in the ASIN. And again, if you are just using a pen, you're going to take a blue pen and you're going to write a little arrow, ASIN equals B0, whatever it needs to be. If you're using multiple items to get ungated, let's say you're trying to get Nike and you've bought 4 shoes and 3 shoes and 2 shoes, you need to put each ASIN there. The reason I'm doing blue ink instead of black is because you don't want them to think that you're trying to manipulate the document. You're just trying to show them that this is the ASIN and it's got to line up. Okay. Now you can either do it by hand or you can open up your PDF editor, and I just do it electronically. 9 times out of 10, I do it electronically, and I have been fine with every electronic one that I've ever submitted. But some people think that the handwritten is better or has a better chance to get it turned in. All right, let's talk about the information on the actual invoice. You need to have the company's web address, their street address, and it needs to be a legit company. They will sometimes Google that address, and if it shows up as like an unmarked building, just a random location, Google it yourself and see what it looks like. They will deny you. And I've had some companies that just don't have a really good storefront, and they will get denied because of that. If it doesn't have an address and or a website, you're going to annotate that in. Same thing, blue ink, either electronic or handwrite it in so that they have that. Amazon will call these companies sometimes. So you need to make sure that you purchased it and your name is on it, and they're going to verify that. So Amazon has called vendors and they say, can you verify invoice 123? Was it purchased by Lucy on the 27th? And they will go through it and they will manually confirm that. Now that is done at random or some special sauce that we don't know about, but they do call. They don't call every single one, but they do call at some sort of frequency there. All right. Next thing I see that is common is the information doesn't match. And it's, oh, well, my husband with a different name bought it, or my purchasing person bought it, or my VA bought it, or somebody bought it, or your address is, oh, that was my old address and now I've moved. Your information needs to match your Amazon account. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for the first name to match, last name to match, address to be on file. And if you've recently moved or changed addresses and it's not in the Amazon system, it's going to be denied. So unfortunately, you might be able to submit proof of the new address or get the new address on file, but that is something that could be your roadblock as well. Next, needs to be in English. I can't tell you how many people have sent me invoices and it's in something Chinese from Alibaba, and I'm going, this isn't in English. They're trained to read it in English. I don't care that it's in a different language. You need to have your company translate the invoice and resubmit it to you in English if that's an option. If it's not an option, it's just going to get denied. Whoever's reviewing your documents is doing it in English. The chances that they, A, understand another language, and B, have the authority to approve invoices not in English is slim to none. Like that, it's just not going to happen. So if your invoices are in a different language, it's a no-go. Sorry, you're going to have to get that changed. Next would be the file format way. You cannot submit any old format that you want. Submit your invoice either in a PNG or a JPEG. I think there's one or two others that are allowed, but the majority is PNG or JPEG. If you don't have the file in that format, go make it in that format. I have seen people try to submit Word documents or Excel documents. That's just not going to work. Print it to PDF and submit it that way. Okay, so now here's some extra tips if you're still having trouble and all of these things, you're like, but Reseller Mom, all these things match up. Here's some other things that have been suggested and have helped. Whether they're old wives' tales or not, I don't know, but take it for what it's worth. If you're hitting a roadblock, try it. It couldn't hurt. The first thing is just to keep submitting. There are people that swear that you just have to keep resubmitting and it will eventually get approved. Some people have said 5 times, 13 times is I think is the highest one that I've seen somebody say that they have submitted and gotten things to go through. The next tip is to print it out, crumple it up, make it look like it's a little used, crumple it up and then smooth it out and submit it that way. Again, some people say that highlighting it, crumpling it up and then highlighting and marking it up looks more authentic. The next thing would be to take a picture of it versus like a scanned document. Usually when I'm doing, printing something out that's a piece of paper to go into an electronic form, I'm using a Dropbox type of software. It's going to scan the document. It's going to make it nice and white and everything. Some people have suggested just taking a picture of it so they can see like a real world image of it, and that has a better chance of getting it to go through. And then the last tip I have for you that some people swear by is take whatever file you have and flip it so the image is upside down, and that requires them to then take and look at it in a more in-depth instead of just bypassing it. The theory around that is that the reps on the other end are just going to, if they need to make their quota, they're just going to go through and deny a couple. And if it's upside down, they have to then put some more energy into looking at it. At least that's what I think people are guessing what's going on here. But submitting it upside down, hey, if you've tried all the above and you still aren't getting anywhere, try submitting it upside down and see what happens. Again, it's not going to hurt. There's really no amount of limitations right now in the amount of times you can submit to try and get something approved. The other last thing that I will bring up, because it's a fairly new topic or fairly new revelation, is that Amazon in the last, today is January 5th. I want to say this information is within the last 6 to 8 months. So sometime during the start of summer, they went through and did a huge overhaul on their approved distributors and wholesalers and cut a lot, specifically out of the beauty department. So if you are having trouble submitting invoices for a particular beauty vendor, you may want to reach out to that vendor or go to the forums, go to the boards, go to the Facebook groups, and see if that vendor is no longer an authorized retailer that was getting approved. For instance, if you want to get ungated in grocery, the common thing that we've talked about many a times is to go to Frontier Co-op. You can either do a regular account or do the wholesale account. You buy the small cinnamon bottle. I think it's $2.10 a piece. It used to be 99 cents. Now they've doubled it because I'm pretty sure they know what's going on. You buy 10 bottles of that little bottle of cinnamon and you submit that invoice. So if Amazon goes through and all of a sudden says, well, Frontier Co-op is no longer an authorized distributor, that process is not going to work anymore. And that's what they did with a whole lot of beauty vendors. I don't know which ones. I have not kept up on that, but you might be able, or at least you can go to the boards and say, hey, I'm trying to submit with this vendor. Does anybody know if it has been eliminated as an authorized distributor for Amazon? All right, guys, take care and have a great day. I hope these tips have helped you out. If you have any other tips, I would love to hear them. Go ahead and leave them down below. I'm sure this is not an end-all be-all list, but these are kind of the number one things that I see that are wrong with invoices when people say, hey, look at my invoice, what's going on here? And you know, the number one suggestions on the boards on what people are suggesting to do if you are getting denied. All right, guys. Oh, last thing, you can call and ask why it's being denied. I had somebody that did that last night and they said, I don't know why it's being denied, but now you're approved. So you could call as well. But I find calling Amazon is like the least, it's the last thing I want to do. Customer service on Amazon has been atrocious since about spring of 2022. I don't get very far with them, but hey, it's worth a shot. You can always call. If you are calling and you're not getting anywhere, ask to speak with a captive team member or a different department. You know, just keep trying, keep calling. It is aggravating to say the least, trying to get a hold of somebody that will actually help you at Amazon, but sometimes every once in a while they will offer a tidbit or get you in the right direction. All right, guys, take care.